It's Kringle time. Sit back and relax as we dive into a world of laughter and learning with the Kringle Brothers, reminding us that we are better together.
Hey, hi everybody, and welcome to Kringle time.
It's that time. It's that time of the week.
I'm your host, Michael, and
I'm your host, Herbie. I forgot who I was for a minute.
I was waiting for you to go Michael Herbie or something. So welcome. It's been it's been a week. This has been a fast week for me. How about you?
It's been a crazy week, but I want to take a time out here. Today our lesson is all about going back to school. And I want to take a few minutes just to reflect on the tragedy that happened in Minnesota today.
Yes.
It's really sad that you can't even feel safe inside a church. So if you could, just for a few minutes, just for a minute, let's just take our hats off and let's just kind of reflect on the losses of the families in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. But you know what?
That's just
serious for too long.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those. That's such a hard gig.
It is. But you know what? Nobody came here to actually be melancholy.
No, we didn't.
We're exciting, and
so Bill's on with us, and Santa Mike's on, and Sleigh Bells Mowing is on.
Oh, Thomas is with us, and Sal. Oh yes.
Oh, hey Sal and Tom, so good. I'm glad you guys are here. What an awesome gift, and Charlie.
We are having so much. So, what was today's episode? Today's episode was back to school.
Yes, I thought it'd be fun. I don't know about you, but kids are going back to school now, and so there's always the and as a retired educator, there's part of me that misses that opening school day kind of thing. So it's like I'm thinking, well, what things did I always do as a teacher getting ready for kids to coming back, and what was like the behavior of children coming back, those first few weeks and that kind of stuff, and how do they prep and what they're doing. So things are new and bright and exciting. And I thought, you know what, a lot of those same things are apropos to Santa's. And
definitely. But you know what, these are different perspectives because as many of our viewers know, you are a retired middle school teacher.
Yep.
And you taught computer science and a variety of other subjects too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I did. There was a few other things. There was some career technology stuff that they would have me teach, and out of 30 years. So things changed a little bit. The elementary teaching in the elementary didn't last very long. Of course, I was white bearded and stuff, and the little kids in first grade thought I was Santa.
Now, again, with the white beard, though, was that kind of confusing for a lot of kids at the time?
No, the first kid that came by, I'll never forget my first day. This is back to first day, right? Here's a story from the first day. It's not going to be my favorite. It's a favorite story, but I've always stood by my door welcoming kids as they would, children as they would come into the room, because what that does is it gives me a chance to see their face, to see whose countenance are lifted, who's not, you know what I mean, and that type of stuff. And so kids that came in gloom and doom walking through the door, we didn't even have to talk. I just made mental notes going, all right, make sure I talk to, Bobby. We'll call him Bobby. Make sure I talk to Bobby. He didn't look quite, happy today or whatever, from his normal look. So it gave me a reading of what my classroom was going to be like. So all of that, I'm standing elementary first day, I'm standing by my door waiting, and all of a sudden this little child comes running by, stops, backtracks, kind of like driving on the expressway happens still today, right? They pass me and then that was Santa. They come back. So he came back and he went, Santa? And all I did was this. Shh. That's it. No words, no nothing. And he goes running off. Next thing I know, the entire class was coming down to my room. Right? The teacher's trying to hurt him, and I go, no, go back to your room, right? And then my students came in, right? At the end of my block, right? All of a sudden, intercom, Mr. Howe, would you please come to the office? Mr. Howe, to the office, right? You can't tell kids you're Santa. I didn't say I was Santa. I just went, shh. That was it. So, yeah, it didn't, like anything else, it becomes familiar. So it's not as, but the first day, it was fun.
Well, here's another question I have from you. So that was
All
one
right.
of your favorite back to school memories
Was one of
as
them. Yeah.
as a teacher. How about when you were actually a student?
Oh my, when I was a child. How far can I go back?
You can go far back as you want to.
Remember, I had ADHD before they called it ADHD. Right?
What'd they call it?
They called it you're in trouble when I was a kid. Right. So what stories coming immediately to my head? Now I think it's funny. Then I didn't think it was so funny. When I was in first grade, there was an overflow of first graders. So they had, way out in the country, a one-room schoolhouse.
Okay.
And I went to the one-room schoolhouse, one teacher, there was like 25 of us kids, and she was everything for us. They would bring hot lunch out to us, right? And so, since it's a real playground out country, trees and everything, I found worms. And so I wanted to use them. I was thinking I'd take them home and give them to Dad and we'd go fishing. So I put them all in my pocket, right? And I'm sitting there in class, and all of a sudden, you don't feel a lot of worms when you have your clothes on, but all those worms came out of my pocket, were all over on the floor. Needless to say, the girls really kind of started screaming. And then the teacher's yelling at me, and I was clueless. Like, why are you yelling at me? You're staying in for 3 recesses, little Michael, right thing. And I'm going, what did I do? I had no idea why I was in trouble. So now when I look at that going, now I get it. As a kid, I was just collecting the worms because I wanted to go fishing. But then they came, caused a ruckus in the room. So,
See, I never had that. I mean, I went to a Catholic private school for most of my school year. So for me,
ooh.
the hardest part was actually making sure I memorized my locker combination.
Oh, you had, what age did you have a locker combo?
Well, not when we were like first starting out. You had your little cubbies in the room, so it must have been right around third, fourth grade. I think we started getting our own lockers, and
Mm-hmm.
at first we had to supply our own locks. But then when I actually went to a Detroit public school for 1 year, because I thought I was done with school after grade 8,
Yeah.
boy, was I wrong.
You thought you were done. Woo-hoo! We're all
I'm
going
like, I
to,
graduated. I got to go for 4 more years. Oh my god! But no, it was always just that little knack. But you know what? There is always a new beginning every school year. After the first day, it all wore off.
well, that's interesting that you made the comment about the lockers, because in sixth graders, we were the first, when they came to the middle school, we had sixth, seventh, and eighth grade in our building. And lockers for sixth graders were a really tough gig.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, clearing it to the right, coming back to the number, going all the way back
Yep.
around, coming back around again. Sixth graders, that was a really struggle. So literally for the first couple weeks, I literally would wander the hall just before class, while in that transitional period, looking for kids to help with their locker, because it could cause a lot of frustration.
Oh, yeah. Even too is coming back from like Christmas break or anything. That was one of my biggest fears. I was always going to forget the combination,
Yeah.
and I don't understand why. But okay. So
So do you
what
have
was?
any fears like that as Santa? I mean, not
Oh,
the
I
exact same, but do you have it going, oh my gosh, I'm really kind of paranoid that I'm going to forget this, forget this, forget this.
well, we've talked about this a few times throughout the time. The thing. Every time I know I'm about to perform, whether it's for photos or a home visit or going to the lodge, even though I've done it so many times, I'm nervous. I'm scared. Stacy looks at me all the time and goes, "Why are you so nervous? You've done this." And I'm like, "Yeah, but what happens is this happens. What happens if this happens?" Going from here. So technically, what I learned from school and from being Santa is embrace the nervousness,
Mm-hmm.
embrace that fear, because you know what ends up happening? It makes you more precise. It makes you more adaptable because you're already imagining every possible thing that could go wrong. Oops, did it again.
You got the hand gesture
I
thing.
know. It's like, but it's
We're
always
talking
fun.
about nerves and things happening that you don't want to happen. There it
But
goes.
you know what? That's those gremlins. Those gremlins always do that to me. But I got to remember, I can only
Well,
use one hand to talk. But yeah, I mean, for even, how about you? I mean, do you still get nervous or anything like that?
and I always get nervous, what I mean? And it's just one of those, I've learned to embrace it, just because, I mean, it's kind of like, I feel like I'm a racehorse, kind of, in other words, here's coming up for the race, and I'm all, and you're putting them into the gate, but as soon as that bell rings and that boom, and it hits and I'm running, I just calm right down, and so what kind of things that I would, help students to help with their nerves, right? In other words, all right, you're nervous about school. How can I encourage you, and help calm those fears? One is just, being a cheerful face and greeting them, and so I look at it the same gig. You put on that jolly, I
Right.
mean, as Santa, and then some of it is telling them to be to prep. In other words, I would tell them, I said, now make sure, you put all your books and your assignments, start making a pile someplace in your house. So that way, everything you need to come back the next day, you know, you're making this pile for it. So that way, when you get up, it's not like all of a sudden you're going, oh, I got to have this, this, and this. So go home and start getting ready and making a pile. So as you're thinking of things that you have to go, you grab it and you put it in that pile. And I'll do that same thing now as Santa, especially, and then even in life, just to help bring some of that nerves and the anxious away. So I literally start making a pile. What do I need for this? So like when we go someplace where I'm going to,
Hmm.
I literally have this pile. So that way, when the day comes, it's easy to pick it all up and take it and not forget anything. So then
I,
that helps bring down. So the prep that you do to get ready for your season, which we'll talk about next week, kind of thing. Are you ready? With it, that helps a lot, for me.
but that we're talking about nerves and preparation and things like this. This not only plays to like children getting ready to start a brand new school year, but this also goes to the Christmas performer attending their first school,
Hmm.
attending their first like group interaction. I know you and I have experienced, people have come up to us a few times and goes, I wanted to talk to the both of you, but I was just so nervous that I didn't think that you would have any time for me.
Yeah, that's
And
that's
it's
not my
like,
heart at all.
no, but the same things that we're kind of talking about also applies. Each of you that have gone, I know a few of you have just come back from Northern Lights, and I'm sure there were a few first timers there, and your ability to embrace them, to basically make them feel comfortable, to make them feel that they should belong, is the best way in the world to help those people actually become acclimated
Yeah.
with the new area, and to basically be embraced by the family. Real quick, Kevin Bernhardt asked, "Did you have your tattoos when you were teaching?"
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. And I did my interview, right? And I've had tattoos a long time, right? And just as an FYI, real quick, I had my interview, right? And I wore long sleeves, covered everything up, did the interview, got the job, and then the first week of teaching, I wore long sleeves. And then of course it was hot. So I wore a polo shirt. And I'll never forget the look on the principal's face coming up going, "You have tattoos?" "Yeah,
Yes, I do.
yeah." And he goes, "I didn't see those in the interview." I just, in my little cockiness, I just looked back at him and said, "Well, you didn't hire me because I was stupid." And that was it. That was the end of it. No
Yeah.
more. So that's my school tattoo story. And then, tattoos became more prevalent and more people had them all the time, kind of thing, right? So now tons of teachers have tattoos and stuff. It's changed, but yeah. So I did,
Oh.
Kevin. I had tattoos when I taught.
Now, I have another question for you. Now, you've been doing this a while, Michael.
Right.
Have you ever done videos for a teacher or a school prior to the school year starting to encourage the children?
Oh, as a pre. No, I've never done that. I've done it as Santa, but I've
That's
never
what I mean.
I
That's what I
I
mean.
I
As say,
haven't done it. I haven't done it to sending to the kids. Now,
okay,
in my classroom, I would I would record my lessons and videos, instructions, and that kind of stuff. One of the things, so I always worked on auditory and visual and then written and linguistic. You know what I mean? So I had those three models and everything that I did, because a lot of the stuff that I did with technology was step by step instructions. This is how we're doing this. This is how you set it up. This is how we're making it. And so I found that if I had a video with all of those instructions and then I gave it to them in written form, all of those instructions, and then they heard me lecture it and walk through it, that I'm hitting all of those learning styles, and then they were more successful because they're able to embrace the way they learn best, right? And so I've done that same concept with my photographers. So I'll make a video to give it to the photographer if they want, of just a simple going, "Hello, I can't wait to see you. Now do me a favor, make sure you have your best clothes on for our picture. And if you have any questions, let me know, come ready to do that." And I just a little bit of stuff that the photographer gives me, not long, but then I give it to them and they go out. And then I've had good responses back from parents going, one, I feel like if the child can see me and hear my voice before they come into the studio, then I can minimize some of that fear anxiety that children will have sometimes. And so just a simple little video. And then I've had parents tell me that they've played it over and over and over and over and over again. And that way they're familiar with seeing me. So that's one way I've done it as Santa, with photography work to help
well,
minimize that.
what I was trying to go to is, have you ever created a video for a teacher that she could play or he could play before the entire class, or in some cases, the school, to reassure the children that, you know what, Santa's got his eye on you. And I want you to do your very best in school and listen to your teachers because they have a direct line to me at the North Pole.
Well,
Have you ever done anything like that?
nothing with detailed as what you just spoke, but I like that idea. I'm
Well,
thinking
see,
that would be a good, a
I've
goal.
done that for a couple teachers that I know.
So and
Uh,
then you did, what kind of things did you do for the special needs school to help with those children? Because special needs, I think it was Bruce that you worked with, wasn't it?
Yeah, Bruce actually mentioned that. Herbie, we do that at Cook School. I drove students for many years. Yes, uh, Bruce Nord and I, we do Santa during the course of the year for a special needs school here in Livonia, Michigan. And initially, when we first started doing this, it was during COVID. So we did do a lot of video work and we did do a lot of It was, doing
Oh,
video work with some amazing, amazing individuals with special abilities can prove to be a little bit problematic. But you have to be able to gain their attention. You have to be able to talk to them and also kind of dazzle them. Oh, I see. Yes, Ted, you do make a good point, and we'll address that here in a few moments here. Um, but even going in person, it was just a point of just reminding the children that Santa loves them, that Santa really appreciates everything that they're doing, and he knows that you're very trying super hard. And as what Ted pointed out was a really good reaction to what I said was, I don't like the school video idea. You're reinforcing the fact that Santa is the Punisher.
no, it's
And I do respect your opinion on that. The way I kind of worked it, though, I try to be a little not as a punisher, but more as an encourager
mhm.
to ensure that the children, listen to their teacher, to basically respect others around them, and to ensure the fact that, part of being on the nice list is doing well in school as well.
Yeah.
Now, I
No,
can also say too is sometimes though, is this video concept can work, especially if you're a avid fan of the Mother of All Diamonds story.
yep, see, I've done that, yeah.
And again, the Mother of All Diamonds story, if you haven't had an opportunity, it's a story that Steve Gillum actually Santaized from Barry Mitchell. And it's a wonderful story. And if you ever see us, we can actually tell you the story. But I highly recommend that you go to Santa and the Driver and talk to Steve and hear the story through him.
Yeah, and I during COVID, I forgot all about that. I had classroom visits, but
Mm-hmm.
it was never ever to tell the kids they're on the naughty list. It was just it
Yeah,
was always encouraging, you know what I mean? So
I
I did have a few of those, and then I created special messages. I had some schools have me create messages to introduce things for them, you
mhm.
know. But as you know, always an encourager, not a you're on the naughty list.
I
Never, you know.
the worst thing I have, and even coming from like other teachers, because I've done private videos where teachers actually have hired me to do videos for their class, and they want me to basically call out certain children who are doing bad things and want me to be the punisher. And I explained to them, as like I said earlier, is Santa's not a punisher. I am not Krampus. I am not Pierre Foutard. I am not all these bad people that my job is to basically react to the naughty children.
Yeah.
I'm here to be a loving example and reinforce the good that is in each and every one of us. Now, Michael, what we should do right now is probably end up taking a break here, maybe run a commercial or maybe even do the dad joke right now
All
and
right.
give everybody a time to let that all sink in. And then we can
Okay.
go back into it.
Oh, wow, it's already I can't believe
Exactly.
all right.
Herbie, I'm looking for a good diet to go on. Can you help me? What's the best?
I don't know. I tried the steamroller diet.
The steamroller diet?
I feel it a little squishy.
Ho, 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 ho. Steamroller. I
Thank you so much again, Santa Bubba, for the flat Herbie and
Yeah,
Michael.
isn't that great? In fact, I was hoping that AJ or not AJ, I just saw AJ's post.
Ty,
All right. I was hoping that Ty was on. So Ty, if you're on, send us a note on how did your first day of school go?
yeah.
I think is he eighth grade this year, I believe.
Well,
If I
he's 12
remember.
years old, so we start looking, trying to do the math here. He could be either in the seventh or eighth grade.
So I was just yeah, so those are pretty fun. Well,
Uh, but we always talk about like creating your North Pole
yeah.
and having your ideas for your own North Pole world. Now, in your world, Michael, do the elves attend school?
Well, of course they do. I always do that. In fact, I always, and I do this too. Because a lot of times children will ask me, Santa, where's Mrs. Claus? And I said, well, she's the superintendent of all of the schools at the North Pole. She loves reading. And so I literally take and my wife, what she does, she's got her master's in teaching ESL, right? And she hasn't retired. She just loves what she does. So, but whatever, that's another whole story. But I take my wife and all the things that she does, and I encourage, especially like girls, you could do something just as wonderful as that. You're very smart like she is, and so I always tie in school because that's always been a part of my life and things that I'm familiar with.
See, for me, as I don't know if you've ever been challenged, but I always come up with the parameters or what you have to meet to actually be considered. And because I always get the small child go, Santa, can I come with you to the North Pole? Well, I always tell them, well, are you 150 years old? Because that's the minimum age that an elf has to be to come to the North Pole. And the second one is, are you ready to leave your grown-ups? Because once you come to the North Pole, you can't return home.
Well, not right
And
away.
that kind of changes the whole thing for him too, because I try to remind him, I had one instance with Buddy the Elf that he snuck into my bag in one house, and look what happened to him.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but no, we have some pretty good comments coming up here. Just really quickly, as for the dad joke, Kringle's dad joke
Ken, you're
that joke was one dimensional. Kevin Ullman says, well, they were pressed for time.
Brooch.
And Ken Kringle guessed the Kringle Brothers' favorite Christmas music is
Manhams
and Steamroller. And yes, he says, yeah, and his telling was a bit wooden as well.
Nice.
So thanks so much for everything, everyone. It's
Thank
good.
you, Bubba. That's all from you, baby. Yeah.
Oh, let's see here now.
All right. Encouragement and inspiration. In other words, one of the things that, of course, there's family stuff, things that I would encourage mom and dad. I literally would type a list up of things that I would like the child to bring to my room, and paper and pencil and a folder. And so all of those organizational stuff, I wrote it down. In fact, we'll come back in as we're blending today. Next week, I want to talk about those lists. I've made lists of Santas so I don't forget things, as I'm out, which helps then back to the nerves and the frustrating and making sure that I'm covered for scenarios, because you have no idea what's coming up. And
you're already getting a teaser of next week's show.
Well, I'm touching bases with it. Next week will be much more details with it, but those are things that I would do, for parents to make sure that we're ready. And then I would always, one of the things that I would do in my classroom is when the child came in, I had literally on my board just a list of the things that we were doing for the day. And so how do I tie then as for Santa for myself? Literally, you can't see it right now, but I took a piece of white board that you would put in a shower, right? And then I took black tape over it, made it into calendars. So I literally have made it to 3-month calendar, and I write everything on there visually so I can see it and help keep track of all of that, so that way my season will go a little bit better, because I have this fear that I'm going to forget a gig. It's like, I don't want to do that to any family or any of that. So I'm always making sure I'm writing things down and Santa checking it 3 times, right?
But it goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning, is because you're nervous about missing a gig, that even though you have electronic means, Kringle Tracker, your phone, and iPad, you still revert to a visual compilation of all your appointments and all your gigs, just to make sure that you don't forget anything.
Well, and then timing. I mean, my mind's going, there's such an expectation of, I'm always paranoid over making sure I'm there early. Linda always, if you're not there 10 minutes early, you're late. And I go, yeah, that's just me. I would rather have to wait in the car or drive around the block a few times and then make the entrance on time than going, oh my gosh, I'm running 3 minutes late, calling, I'm coming, which unfortunately, because of a winter snowstorm last year, I got caught in a whiteout. So I was late, this just drives me crazy.
I've actually fell asleep into a parking lot and took a nap because I was so early for a gig.
I know. Yeah, all right. We're gonna set the alarm on the watch. Siri, set my alarm for. Yeah.
But one of the things, though, too, is, and again, when we talk about students, not only are we referring to like the children who come and see us, or like the parents asking us, Mrs. Claus, or any one of the Christmas performers how to help, but when you see all these new people, I know Michael and I, we were just in Nashville, and there were a couple first time Santas there. And, you know, I'm not saying that they struggled academically, but they may actually feel, more from a social standpoint. But the thing is, we have to remember, and we always say this, that the Claus family, the community itself is more of a family.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to make sure that we include everyone within that family. So, you know,
Do
you
you have
have to make.
anything? Sorry, go ahead.
No, finish.
Do you have anything that you do to help minimize that for students or for people that you're knowing? In other words, they don't know what to expect. They don't have preconceived notions and ideas, kind of thing. It's all fresh. So, is there anything that you do to help minimize from children when you come into a room?
Well, I always tell them to is no matter what, when it comes to children, especially when I can see children as being nervous or socially like awkward, they're not quite sure about seeing the big guy or meeting Mrs. Claus, and you're looking at them from afar. It's, again, we talked about this in the past. It's like knowing your audience, knowing when you can be loud, knowing when you need to tone it down. But the thing I try to do is that Santa can make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Just like children can make mistakes, so can Santa. And the part is to own those mistakes, because really they're not failures. They're stepping stones to success, because if you succeeded at everything you did, why would you even try? And
Well,
again, that not just counts for children, that even counts for many of us.
yeah,
Oftentimes we see a Santa or Mrs. Claus do something that's so amazing that we want to do that too, but we're not quite as adept at doing it. And then we feel like failures. And that's not the case. Each one of you are special in your own way. You guys can do things that I can only even dream of. And I'm so thankful that a lot of you are willing to share with me.
yeah, yeah,
And I think that's what I also apply to, especially when you deal with children that come from a large family. But at the same time, too, is I just try to make everybody laugh. And I just try to make everybody feel at home and calm. And I get so much more interaction out of them than, trying to be forceful or trying to actually influence them with my directive,
right.
my schedule. I let that, like somebody said, Charlie said it earlier in the chat, children say the darndest things. And to
Yes,
be able to roll with that, to build upon what they're saying and include them in the stories, you will see a magical change come over them.
yeah. I know that in education they would call it an anticipatory set.
Yeah.
In other words, at the beginning, and
Oh,
so a lot of
just let
times
me
when
interject something to you, Michael. Here is Bubba came back and says, Ty's second day he came home and went right to sleep.
they wore him out.
Now, I'm telling you, there's a comic I've been listening to on one of the satellite radio stations. He goes, how come some of these students now are coming in and they're just basically saying, I'm beat, like they've been fighting like terrorists for like the last 3 days. It's like, what are these schools doing to these children?
Well, it's out of their habit,
Oh, true.
So one of the things that I would do, like I had instructions on the board, but as Santa, so I'll come in and I'll literally tell a roadmap real quick to the kids. Hello, how are you doing? I was thinking that we could get a picture together, and then how about a story? And of course, I want to sing a song with you too. And if we have time, if we're lucky, I think I'll give you a gift. So I literally did an outline for a home visit, right? And so I'll tell that right to the kid, so the children right off the top, so that way, here's our roadmap. And so then I just go back, and of course you expand it and the pictures and how you're doing it, and you fill it in. But I'll literally, to help try to bring some of that calmness down, in a home visit, just like I did in my classroom with kids, because they're excited, but there's a lot of nerves too, because it's all new. So let me do this for you. So that's one technique that I would do for a visit.
Also, some of the other fun things I like to do with the children as well, and to reinforce what they're learning in school, because what is it, the -5 rule? If you take what grade they're in and add 5, you come up to their age.
Yep.
It's funny
It's
because
a
when you,
majority of cases, like in
yeah, in majority of the cases,
like in
because
life, there's always exceptions.
well, but it's like one of these things too is, and I hear this all, I mean, I even said it, like you're taking geometry or you're taking algebra or you're doing like advanced math. Why do I need all this stuff, Santa? And it's just like, well, I have to use this to basically coordinate the stars in the sky to get the right trajectory for the slate. And if you can actually influence it this way and show them that there is some use for it, even if you're making things up, which I am really good at.
Yes, you are.
But this is how you can also help inspire really good habits in school and at home, and help those inquisitive individuals advance. Because one of the things I keep saying a lot of the time is, as we grow older, we forget how to play.
Yeah.
And the reason for it is because we start becoming too serious about everything that we're doing. And we forget that there has to be some seriousness in our lives, but there also has to be some levity. There has to be a chance to play in order to make yourself a complete and happy person.
Yeah. Yeah. We do. Yeah.
All right. So, all right. Well, you know what?
We
It's
need to
about,
do some thanks.
yes, let's go ahead and do some thanks. If you guys have any questions,
Get
always go ahead
ready.
and write
Well,
those in.
yep. And let's go ahead, and then we've got do some thanks for the contributors for the TNL network.
Exactly.
Are you going crazy managing clients, contracts, and invoices? Kringle Tracker is here to help you. Stay organized with ease. Keep your sanity in check with Kringle Tracker's intuitive tools to effectively manage your schedule and clients. Our seamless, customizable contract system allows you to tailor your contracts to you and your clients' needs. Prepare for tax time like a pro by tracking your income and expenses, and generate reports to make it a breeze. Transform your claws business by signing up for a free 20-day trial. Kringle Tracker was created by a claws for the claws community, so you can focus on making magical memories for your clients. Head over to kringletracker.com and sign up for your free trial today.
Now, did you see Bubba's response next?
No.
Ty went to the wrong class. We got a call from the school. He wasn't there, but they found him and fixed his attendance.
I've done that. I've had that. Like, it's back to those kids, their schedule and changing. And sixth grade for us was all of a sudden, now they've got multiple teachers, every subject's and and then the expectations of multiple people. How do you deal with the expectation of the students? And a lot of it was just calming them down, going, it's all right, you'll get familiar with this, relax, it's okay. So a lot of just simple affirmation, and I think it's the same way with new Santas, or even in our world, just relax. You don't have to, because what happens, you go to a conference and there's a lot of information given to you, and you don't have to have it all. Just one thing, relax, slow down. You'll have plenty of time as you keep visiting with children to improve, you know.
Well, here's a good question from Chris here. It's and you kind of touched on it a little bit here. When Santa makes an assumption or guess and is wrong about a child or the situation, what's a good out?
Why don't you tell them you blame somebody? I've heard you talk about
Oh yeah.
blaming
Well,
somebody.
I want to hear your answer first before I give mine.
I make that comment. One, I acknowledge that I made a mistake. I'm very, very sorry.
Mhm.
I don't try to make it like I was right. You know what? I'm sorry. Will you forgive me? So then I try to make it as it is. And then I've never had a child going, no, I won't forgive you. And going, but let me do this. And I have my book and I'll pull it out. Let me write this down so I don't do that again. I'm getting older, and then I'll fall back on, that's why I have my list. You've heard that I have to check it twice. Well, Mrs. Claus says I should do it 3 or 4 times sometimes. So I don't deny that I've made a mistake, but then I try to do a little levity with it and then make it right to the child.
I agree wholeheartedly with you. Is I own the mistake because it is my job to make sure that the lists and everything is not checked once but twice. At the same time, too, some Santas will actually go ahead and blame the newest elf in training, or maybe even revert back to Mrs. Claus.
Yeah.
Well, if I haven't used it earlier in a show, I always have my thumb tip handy, and I like the thumb tip, and that is the fairy named Flick, who basically takes care of all the books at the North Pole. And Flick sometimes gets really excited and makes a mistake because he's thinking 5 steps ahead than what he should be. And I always bring Flick down. Flick apologizes to the child, and then he basically runs back off to the North Pole to make sure he makes all those changes going in the book. This comes in handy a lot of times, especially too if you're doing virtual visits and you mispronounce the child's name. But again, there's always ways around everything. Uh, again,
John
Chris,
blames his elf.
uh, Chris, all you have to do is, like we keep saying, is know your North Pole. If you understand your North Pole, where you came from and how you got there, there's not a question or anything that you can't solve or come up with an answer to. And if you need help or anything, yeah, this is a great forum to ask. Ask your fellow Christmas performers. Everybody wants to share because why? We all want to be better because why, Michael?
We're better together.
That's right. So let's move on to some fun and creative aspects here.
All right. I
Now,
like that idea.
yep. So if Santa could pack a magical backpack for every student in the world, what would he put inside of it, my friend?
That's a good question. I don't know if I've heard that at any schools kind of thing, but so if I was making a backpack for kids as Santa, let's see, an endless pencil, a pencil that never wore out. So they only had one pencil and it'd be good for the whole year.
That would be fun.
Wouldn't that be fun? And let's see. Oh, I like this idea. I'd give them a book that they could read, one of their favorite stories, because there's a lot of schools will promote reading. And
Hmm.
all right, well, we won't go some of that reading, but they would read a book. And at the end of that book, when they finished the book and they flipped the last page, the book would magically turn into another story.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Wouldn't that be fun?
That would be fun.
Yeah, and let's see, one more thing that I would do. Let's see. Oh, I know what I'd put in that backpack. A little cylinder or a little cup of tasty dust.
Tasty dust. What's that?
So whatever was in the cafeteria that day and it was something they had to eat that they didn't like, they could take a little bit of tasty dust and sprinkle it on it and it would taste just like their favorite food.
Oh, that would be fun too. What would be your favorite food?
Well, I love pizza.
I was thinking the same thing.
I mean, I mean, if the Bible was written today, I think it would say, "Man shall not live by pizza alone," instead of bread alone. You know? That's how important pizza is, I think, to our country.
Oh, it's the perfect food. You got your dairy, your breads and cereals, your vegetables. Oh my goodness.
and,
And I
and
want
you can
pizza.
eat it hot or cold. I like
I
it
know.
sure.
As
Yeah.
long as you're not putting pineapple on it.
Oh, I see. I like pineapple. I like a
Ah.
Hawaiian ham, a little bit of green pepper, some pineapple, it's a little sweet and sour, tangy.
So if we're making you hungry, please contact your local pizza parlor and tell them that the Kringle Brothers sent you. You won't get anything, but thanks for thinking of us.
So, tasty dust. I want tasty
Tasty,
dust.
would be a kind of a
Well, how
fun
about you?
idea.
What would you put in as
You know,
Santa? What would you put in their backpack?
I would. I think only one thing, and that one thing, and it's a direct ripoff from the Santa Claus,
All right.
and that would be something like a snow globe that would
Oh,
allow that their grown-ups to be present. So you know what? Even if they're having a very bad day, or they were scared, or I hate to say, maybe even being bullied, they
mhm.
could bring out the snow globe and just see the images of the people that love them the most.
Yeah,
And this way they know, you know what? They can get through the day because this is who they have waiting for them at home.
yeah. And as
Oh gosh, now I'm going to
fun
cry.
stuff, back to fun stuff, there's always something. I mean, like when we talked about, the heart of a Christmas performer and the four areas in the chamber, and that you need to make sure that you're touching each of these areas to make sure that you're a good, healthy, well-rounded, not just figure-wise, Christmas performer, right? So students, there would be some students, I'm not good at this. I'm not good at this. And so I would always encourage them, let's turn it into a game.
Hmm.
And I would say to them, I said, look, we're all in the same boat. I said, my boss says that I need to share this with you. And you need to learn it. And your mom's saying you need to learn it. Yeah. So guess what? We're both in the same boat. So let's have some fun with it. And I would try to turn things into a game. Same things that I would encourage, Christmas performers, Santas to do. If you struggle with an area, try to turn it into a game, like math, counting candy canes.
Or utilizing your geography skills and mapping the sleigh route.
Oh, that would be a good idea.
Because I can show you how it's done, but you will never understand it.
Yeah, science. How does a thermos work? How does a know it how to keep hot things hot, but cold things cold? How does that
Exactly.
work? Science, right?
I mean, there is when you have a child or when you have an individual who just loves Christmas and you can incorporate and help them boost their confidence by showing them how things that they're challenged with can be turned into Christmas and fun. Oh my gosh, it's like man inventing fire for the first time. It's amazing to see when somebody actually it all clicks. I
Yeah,
mean, it happens to me at work every single day, and I'm lucky I still know what the heck I'm doing here.
right.
All right, now,
Well,
how would Santa decorate a classroom for the perfect learning environment?
the
Well,
perfect learning.
I look at some of our notes here and I'm like, warm lights, cheerful colors, a cozy reading nook with reindeer pillows, and a kindness board. Um, I love those. Those are great, but I also know me and my ADHD, I would be asleep in a heartbeat.
Yeah, so you have to have it different because I would have a couple bean bags in my room for kids to set in to calm down,
Hmm.
relax with it. You know what I mean? And so my issue to those children, right, and even with me now, is like, look, this is what needs to get done. If you want to sit on the floor and you can not be a disruption and get it done, then sit on the floor. If you need to, I mean, to compensate, if you need to stand up, what I mean? As long as you're not disruptive to those around, that was the whole issue. As long as you're not stopping the learning process from somebody else, and you need to move or do whatever, then do it. So I literally would have students that would take laps and then come sit back down, get up,
Hmm.
take a lap, and then sit back down. And those are a little bit more like with me, kind of thing with the
Well,
ADHD. You know what I mean? But the whole issue is as long as you're not disrupting. So the same issue with Santa is have fun with it, create an environment that you can have fun and that's not disruptive for everybody.
but you make with your answer to this, which I think is perfect and it ties in closely, is when you do photo work.
Yeah.
And you walk in and you immediately take control, because I've actually had pictures taken with you as a civilian. And
As a civilian.
as a civilian. And the interesting aspect is that the environment that you just created for the perfect learning, you also warp into the perfect environment to have the children relax for photos.
Mhm.
And again, it's because you offer them, I don't want to say distractions, but you allow them the ability to basically burn off some of the excess excitement or fear
Right.
in order to calm down and realize, hey, Santa's not a bad guy.
Yeah.
And most of the time, it's not really the child. The child is just responding to what the parent is doing. But it is a nice thing to do. Well, you know what, Michael? We have 10 minutes tonight. We only have 10 minutes. And you know what we need to do now?
You know what? We need to give away something and thank Wade and Charlotte.
Well, we need to thank Wade and Charlotte. Let's thank them first, and let's go into the trivia. Then it'll be time for your fascinating fact.
Santa's Closet has been committed to providing unique, high-quality accessories for Santa, Mrs. Claus, and the entire Claus community. Our mission is to deliver exceptional customer service and outstanding value, offering competitive pricing and a wide selection of products designed to enrich the Claus experience.
All right, trivia question time.
Trivia time. Now, here are the rules, ladies and gentlemen, and
Yep.
family and germs. If you have won within the last 65 days, you are not eligible to participate in today's trivia.
Time out.
Also, if we cannot ship any of the wonderful items that Santa's Closet is donating to our lucky winner,
Only to
however,
US.
that also includes Canada. However, if you do have an address in the United States, you could participate.
Yep.
Now, we were actually asked last week that the trivia question should be based upon last week's show.
I thought that was a great idea.
It was a fantastic idea. So
It's a
today's
nice
trivia
question.
question is, do you want to read it, Michael? And I'll watch the chat.
Comment section. So this was from last week's show. So we're working on retention. Here we go. So the early Christian church, seeking to establish a date for Jesus' birth, strategically was chosen December 25th, which coincided with an other winter solstice celebration.
So there's only one word. So just because there's two little blanks here, we're not looking for two. It's just one. All right, I'm watching the chat.
One word.
Chat. Charlie says he's still in timeout. Yes, you are. And Sandy says, me too. I love my shirt. I'm glad, Sandy.
Oh, good. Oh, I know. This isn't like something you can switch. We're going from memory. Should I give a hint?
Nope. Oh, no, we did discuss that, Brian, but that was not the main one that we were actually looking for. It's
That's a
something
good
that
guess.
a little bit older.
It starts with the letter S. We'll give that.
Well, now you just gave the whole thing away.
I did. Well, I'm trying to help them remember. I'm encouraging back to the classroom. They're nervous. All of a sudden, like, I don't know what it is. We're giving it so it's not just an internet search kind of thing.
And we have our winner.
Yay!
All right. Let's see, John. Just checking the list here. Just checking the list. John, you are our winner. All right. Now, Michael, tell him what he needs to do.
John, if you would please, and first of all, congratulations. I appreciate it. If you would send us your first and last name, your mailing address, and your shirt size, in case Wade and Charlotte have a shirt, we don't know what their prize is this week, and mail it to Kringle Brothers 2 at gmail.com. So that's your first and last name, your address, and shirt size to kringlebrothers2.com. And since we have that up, if you have any suggestions or things or people you would like us to interview, we're kind of laying some stuff out for next year. We would love for you to email those to us and let us know, and we will try to get that into the mix. And of course, if you would please make sure that you click like in this and follow and comment and subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's at Kringle Brothers. We would really appreciate it a lot. How's that? Did
The
we do
more
all
that
right?
you subscribe or follow us, the more we get out there and the more people we can reach. So again,
Yeah, and then reshare the post. You can reshare it and give it out. Word of mouth is literally the best.
now Frank
We,
Fields
we
has a good
appreciate it,
question.
right?
Frank says, how do you handle a visit where a couple of children that are on the edge of believing are trying to sabotage you in front of a 12 plus much younger children that believe wholeheartedly?
Yeah, oh, yeah, that's really good. What would you do?
Well, I'm asking you, what would you do first?
One is it's back to what I've learned from Ted with situational awareness. In other words, where's the contents, where they're at. There's no absolutes in all of it. Okay. One. So if I can pull that child away, and then I literally asked him, I said, you know what? Can you help me make the magic for your brothers and sisters? Right. In other words, if I can talk to them and calm them down, you know what I mean? But if they're persistent, one of the things that I've had, this came to my head immediately. I had one time at the lodge where a child was belligerent. And then one of the things that I've done in the past going, well, I could give you the answer to that, but I'd have to take away one of your Christmas gifts. Right. And I don't like doing that. And he goes, take it away. And I'm going, oh, this, I've never had that happen before. Right. And then, so I told him, I said, all right, I'll give you the answer, but you'll have to come back at 6 o'clock for the answer because that's when I can use the magic. Right. So then he walks away, calms it down. I look at my elf, follow that kid and talk to the parent. I need his name. Right. And so literally, you know, they went and got the name of that child for me. And they even told the elves, don't let me forget this name. So that child came back. Right. And we'll just call him John, for the sake of the story. John, he came back and I said, and he started to apologize. I shouldn't have done that. My mom said that, and mom handled it for me then. But I got his name by now. Right. So then I looked at him and said, well, John, I did that. And he looked at me and I go, because you're older and you need to make sure that you're sharing that Christmas magic with your siblings to make it wonderful for them. You understand why I didn't tell that to you right away, John, because you were calling me out. And that can't happen in front of them. And now I'm using his name, which, but in that context to share with it. So it worked out. But it's one of those, it's just a really hard gig. If you can pull them away, I try to pull it away or to stop it, and head it off at any problems, that I can. So I'm not sure that really answered it well.
Well, no, I mean, I think I think you handled it a very good situation, and I think that's what you have to do. Is a lot of times the parents just want the older children to get in for a picture, and what I try to do is if I can actually see that or sense that, then I will go ahead and hurry up and take the picture. And then as the older children leave, then I have a conversation with the younger children or the true believers still.
Yeah.
I've actually had one visit where I had older brothers and a younger one, and I did a simple, crazy little magic trick, the rubber pencil.
Oh, yeah.
And yep, the wiggly pencil. And I found out from Stacy, because it was at her job, that when the two older children left, his mom told Stacy that they said that I think that may have been the real Santa.
That's cool.
But again, it's knowing your audience, knowing how to go, and really truthfully how much time you have. And it is a trial and error to come up exactly what it says. And like Ted said, I always say it's okay not to believe in me. But is it all right if I still believe in you?
Yeah, I like
And
that.
that
That's a
usually
good
stops
answer.
any problems. Because again, normally this is just a child who is trying to be cool, trying to show off, or just trying to be just a little mean to their younger siblings. So,
Yeah.
all right, Michael,
I
and
tell
you
you
know
what,
what?
it's hard to believe that we're down to the end here.
I
So
know, and we
I'm
still
going to
have to do
save.
your
I'm gonna
fascinating
save,
fact.
well, I'm going to save that for next week. Is that okay?
All right, we're going to save that for next week.
All right,
So
because
again,
more important than the Christmas fact is the thank yous.
Oh, definitely.
Right. In other words, Santa Roger with Kringle Tracker and Wade and Scarlett with Santa's Closet. Major
And
big
of course,
thank you.
Larry for
Larry with
Larry
the
Talbert
insurance.
Insurance.
And then Bob and Scott and Miss Angie and all of them,
And can't
with
forget
the
Spangle.
TNL Network and Spangle. Yes. Can't forget Spangle. You know what I mean? And then, but the major big thank you goes to
Linda and Stacy, our sweeties, our wives, because without them, we would be lost.
we would be in trouble. Big
We would
time.
be definitely in trouble. But let's not
And of
also forget
course,
a big.
all of the users, all of you guys, all of our users. Oh,
Oh, that's his alarm.
that was Sister Claus. I'll call her back in a few minutes. But all of you guys, we're family, and you're the main reason why we're here. So
And just remember this, because we are family. If you see us in person, please come up, talk to us, because why? You are just as much as part of this as we are as part of it.
yeah,
So we want to make sure, because as we keep saying all throughout the show, we're better together.
yeah.
So, Michael,
Yeah.
until we meet again.
Yes, that's right. Until we meet again, may your days be jolly. I just made mine jolly. May your hearts be light and your kindness always shine bright.
And may the spirit of Christmas live in you every day of the year, not just now. But remember to be good, spread joy, and always believe.
Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night.
night.
I think there's a little bit of video delay.
I could be.
Afterglow party.
Afterglow party over here, party over there. Shake your hands, shake your hands, shake your hands.
Oh, Ted.
Well, I hope we had some good shows. I mean, looking at some of these wonderful comments here, thank you, Frank. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Ted. Jerry, Frank again. Sal says, "What's up, Sister Kringle?" I think he meant Sister Claus. But you know what? Thank you, each and every one of you, for attending and spending at least an hour with us today, because, as we said,
we're better together.
We love you. You're part of our family, and we just want everybody to be the best that they can be.
Ted sent me a link today for a dad joke that was absolutely wonderful.
Well, we'll have to get that one.
Get someone, I need to get Ted to record it so we can show it on the show. I just laughed like crazy. It was, I don't even want to tell about it at all. I want Ted to do it. So it was absolutely wonderful. So send us dad jokes. We can. We love dad jokes. Send it to the
Send us show ideas, or you know what? Just send us any issues or any problems that we may be able to help you with. And always remember, you can always just email us at thekringlebrothers2@gmail.com. Or again, subscribe and follow us on Facebook and YouTube.
That's my sister again. Kimmer, stop it. I'll call you. All right.
Sister Claus is in demand. So
Sister Claus has got something to say. All
family
right.
and friends.